So I know I told you guys about Russia demanding gas payments from Europe in rubles. Well, actually, not just Europe, from unfriendly nations, to be precise. Europe gets 40% of its gas from the Russians. But I wanted to explain to you how this works, because you've heard this, but I don't see many sources out there or many places explaining the mechanism of how Europeans are supposed to pay in rubles. Because, the G7 and the EU, they came out and said, no, we refuse to pay in rubles. We're not going to switch our gas payments to Russia to rubles, because the contracts not only fix the amount, but also in what currency the payments are settled, right? So most of the Russian gas that's bought by the Europeans is done in euros. There's a little bit in US dollars as well, but it's mostly euros. So let me explain to you how this works, right? On March 31st, Putin, he signed an order demanding that the European buyers, foreign buyers, open a ruble account in Gazprom Bank. Again, the Russian-owned gas company is Gazprom. But there's also Gazprom Bank, which handles the payments for the gas, right? And this is one of the banks that has not been sanctioned. The Europeans can't sanction it because they'll freeze and there won't be any electricity. Putin has said, if you guys want to keep buying gas, you have to go and open an account in Gazprom Bank, not in euros, in rubles. Why is this? So on the left, you have the gas buyer, the Europeans, right? The Europeans are paying in euros. So actually, nothing changes for them. They're still sending it in euros, right? So even, they said, we're not going to do anything except we keep paying in euros. Fine. Those euros go to an account at Gazprom Bank, which is only for euros, and it's in the buyer's name. So let's take Germany as an example. So Germany sends euros to an account in Germany's name at Gazprom Bank. What Gazprom Bank then does is they take those euros, they sell them at the Moscow Stock Exchange, which is down here. So they take the euros and they sell them at the Moscow Stock Exchange in exchange for rubles, for the Russian currency. And then those rubles are put in another account in Germany's name that is in rubles. So this is the account that Putin was talking about. They have to come and open an account in rubles. Germany or whoever's buying gas from the Russians has to have two accounts at Gazprom Bank, one in euros, one in rubles. They put the euros in the bank, Gazprom Bank takes them, sells them for rubles, and puts them in the other account. Now, after that's done, the gas payment is taken not from the account in euros, but from the account in rubles. And again, in whose name is this account? It's in the buyer's name. So Germany, for example, this account is in rubles and in Germany's name. So they are paying in rubles in the end because that's how the gas payment is made. And then you can see the gas comes to them after they've paid. Fine, you go ahead and keep sending euros. But Gazprom Bank is going to exchange that money in your name, deposit it in a ruble account in your name, and pay for the gas in rubles in your name. So whether they like it or not, they're still paying for that gas in rubles, right? So this is kind of an artificial way, figuratively speaking, to shore up the value of the ruble. That's obviously that's the entire goal of doing this, right? Why is Putin demanding this? Because by selling those euros at the Moscow Stock Exchange for rubles, you're increasing the demand for rubles, so the value of the ruble goes up, and it works because the ruble has regained a lot of its value. And of course, not only the higher demand for rubles, but also the fact that you are buying a commodity like gas with those rubles, again, makes the ruble appreciate, right? Regain value or gain a higher value. And so whether they like it or not, the Europeans are paying for their gas in rubles. And this is quite smart because, it's not really a breach of contract. And it's kind of a win-win for both sides. The Europeans, they don't have to get embarrassed, running to exchange 200 to 800 million euros worth into rubles every day. The Gazprom Bank will do it for them. And the value of the ruble goes up. And of course, no one freezes. Putin has been quite clear, though. If the European buyers or the unfriendly countries, I say Europe because Europe is the biggest customer, if they don't go and open this account in rubles, the gas will be cut off, because it's the same thing as you said before. If you don't pay in rubles, whether by opening an account or sending, throwing rubles at the Russians, it doesn't matter how you do it. If you don't pay, the gas will be cut off. He said, we're not running a charity service, right? To put it very bluntly. Now, this is from the BBC. The headline reads, Russia says it won't cut off gas supplies yet in ruble payment row. Okay, so what does that mean? So Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a decree on Thursday stating buyers must pay in rubles through Russian bank accounts from Friday. This is the mechanism that I just explained to you. The Kremlin said this would not affect shipments which were already paid for, with payments for deliveries after April 1st, due in mid-April at the earliest. Okay, so right now we're April 5th. All the gas that's coming through right now doesn't have to be paid for yet, because a lot of people thought that the gas valves are going to be turned off, at midnight on March 31st. Because Putin had originally told the Russian central bank, and he told Gazprom Bank, you guys go come up with a plan by March 31st. And so everyone thought, oh, well, what does that mean? The gas is just going to turn off? No. The gas that's flowing now from Russia to Europe, it doesn't have to be paid for yet. Okay, so technically speaking, until about mid-April, these European countries, they still have time to open these accounts and make the payments. Quote, does this mean that if there is no confirmation in rubles, then gas suppliers will be cut off from 1st of April? No, it doesn't. And it doesn't follow from the decree, Kremlin spokesperson Peskov said. The Director General of the European Commission Energy Directorate tweeted that the EU was working closely with member states and operators to establish a common approach on currency payments for gas contracts with Russia. Again, that's a whole bunch of jargon just to say, like, yeah, we're shuffling our feet here because we don't really know what to do and we're backed in a corner. You don't really have a choice. And I don't say this to mock anybody, because this is a very serious situation. Look, man, Europe needs this gas from Russia. There is no logistical way. It's just impossible to replace it from one day to the next. It doesn't work that way. It's not a question of, let's buy up all the liquefied natural gas that we can get. First of all, there isn't enough liquefied natural gas to replace what Russia gives Europe. Even if there were enough liquefied natural gas, there is literally no infrastructure to offload it. There are no terminals. You don't even have the special ships ready. So both ways, like, either way, you're screwed. Basically, it's a win-win for everyone. Honestly, it's a win-win for everyone. What's funny here is that the West, they kind of shot themselves in the foot because, look, man, before this situation in Ukraine, Russia wasn't asking this stuff. Like, if the Russians had asked for this stuff before the war, they would have never gotten away with it. There was no way that was going to happen. But now they've been backed into a corner, the EU. They really have no choice, right? Because Russia's like, well, you already screwed us as much as you can. And the fact is that by making gas payments in rubles, the euro is going to lose some of its value. Not just, it's literally on the stock market, but I mean on the financial exchanges. But I mean also, generally speaking, the whole idea is that, wow, oil payments, 80% of oil purchases are done in dollars, which gives the dollar its value. Most of the gas sales from Russia are done in euros, which gives the euro also its prestige. And that's going away now. So the long term, speaking in the long term, the Europeans and the Americans, they kind of screwed themselves, honestly. This isn't just about Russia regaining some of, the ruble's value. It's much bigger than that. That's what I'm trying to say. Again, this is what I told you before. Europe gets 40% of its gas and a third of its oil imports from Russia, and it's mainly paid in euros and dollars. And the EU has no easy substitute, right? Russia's making 400 million euros per day from gas sales. That's just gas sales, never mind the oil. It's a lot of money, and that is certainly helping for, it's certainly helping the ruble to regain some of its value. If you look at what the current value is of, $1 to rubles, I can show you here, pre-war levels. Let's take, for example, 7th of February. It was about 75 to the dollar. Now it's 83 to the dollar. I mean, that's so close. It's almost regained all of its value. You've had articles coming out like in here saying the ruble has bounced back. Are sanctions not working? Sanctions are certainly doing something. I mean, despite the value of the ruble coming back up, let there be no illusions as to what's going on. Sanctions, they work. The whole objective of sanctions is to crush the civilian population. Vladimir Putin, his lifestyle, his standard of living has not changed and will not change no matter what. The average Russian, their lifestyle, their standard of living, their consumption has changed. As a matter of fact, it's even Europeans. You guys know Aldi, right? So in Germany, they have Aldi Süd and Aldi Nord. For some reason, it's divided. And basically, they're going to increase prices now. So when it comes to butter, meat, sausages, basic necessities, those prices are going up now this week in Germany. And Aldi have said that they're going to raise the price of certain products between 20 to 50%. So this is, again, the blowback that Europeans are feeling from the sanctions on Russia. And of course, even in the US, Biden was saying there's going to be food shortages. Really, man, I don't know how long that's gonna go on for. I don't know how much longer people in the West are gonna tolerate, because I think, on the one hand, I'm like, media brainwashing is really powerful, and then on the other, it's like, higher gas prices, higher food prices. I think people might not be so keen on this whole defending democracy idea by sending neo-Nazis weapons when they find out what it means for their wallet, right? So, as I was telling you, Aldi Nord to raise prices by 20 to 50% on Monday. Meat, sausage products, butter. And that's, of course, because of the Russia-Ukraine war, according to a spokesperson. That's not good. This is very bad. Once again, sanctions hurting civilians and the average Joe, whether in Russia or in Germany or, in the West or elsewhere. And it's really not good. But I just wanted to explain to you very briefly how the payment mechanism works in terms of gas payments. So we can clear that up and you understand a bit better, how it functions. Another crucial reason the Russians are, forcing these unfriendly countries to buy gas in rubles is because by opening accounts in, let's say, Germany's name in a Russian bank, it makes it very hard for them to sanction the energy sector and Gazprom Bank. Now, again, granted, Europe gets most of its, let's say 40% of its gas from Russia. So I don't think they're going to sanction Russian energy imports. But just for future proofing and for security, this is good because they're making sure that the money, first of all, is not located in Europe. It's in Russia. Okay, and the banks are also in Russia, because you saw they froze about half the assets of the Russian central bank. So now, instead of the Russians having their money in European banks, the Europeans will have their money in Russian banks where it's safe. And it also makes sure that they can't sanction Gazprom Bank, because they will have money in those accounts and need those accounts to make gas payments. So this is a very, very crucial point I also wanted to add.